Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. And today's topic is going to be a little bit of a chat about my new racket. And the racket brand is Donnay. And if you've been around for a while, you probably haven't heard that name related to a racket in a long time. Yes, they still make rackets, and I'm going to tell you and talk about why I think this is something that's worth looking into, especially if you got arm problems or just want an arm friendly racket to avoid arm problems. So let's take a look here and introduce you to my new Donnay, which I think it's a very, very attractive, beautiful racket. Great glossy paint job, nice butt cap, the graphics are tasteful, and it's just a real good looking racket, and it kind of looks like a whatchamacallit, a Babolat, maybe a Pure Drive or something. And they also compare the performance to a Pure Drive without the pain, which we'll get into that. So it swings nice. It's giving me good topspin. Played with a 4 or 5 player, and his comment to me, without me telling him what I was doing, was that my ball would reach the baseline and all of a sudden drop in and land in at the last minute, which was giving him trouble. So that means this thing's producing spin, and I generally hit a flat ball, which I'm trying to improve that. So this, with its string pattern, which I believe is a little bit more open than what I'm used to, is giving me that extra spin. And why Babolat, and how did I find Babolat? Well, I went down the rabbit hole on YouTube looking for arm-friendly rackets because I'm dealing with tennis elbow issues, as you could see in my previous videos if you follow the channel, which you should like and subscribe. And I came across Tennis Nerd, which is a popular tennis racket review channel. Very good content. Causes me to spend a lot of money, but that's another story. And he was highlighting this racket because a pro friend of his was using it and kind of sponsored, so he tried it, and they were talking about the arm friendliness because he has arm issues, and with reviewing all those strings and rackets, I could imagine the abuse that goes on with his arm. So that turned me on to look at Donnay, which brought me to their site, which we're going to take a look here. And this is the Donnay site, which is really underwhelming. But if they got technology that is going to help me stay in the game, heal, and not aggravate my tennis elbow, and play good, then I don't care about bells, whistles, graphics, sponsorships. Even though the pros play with certain rackets, they really play with a highly customizable racket that you won't even be able to handle. And it's not realistic. It's all about paint job and marketing. Pretty much propaganda. But that's another story. So I come to this website, I start reading, and excuse the heater noise in the background. I'm doing this like a live video. And the front website, it's got all these rackets, different brand names, Octacore, what's that? I don't know. What's the technology? Matt Sweelander likes it. Are they paying him a lot of money to say that? Probably not. I don't even think Donnay could afford a website like this. I don't think they're throwing millions around. And that's why they're in the shadows. That's why you got to seek them out. Jim Courier plays with Donnay. They sponsored Agassi for a minute back in the day. Didn't really work out. They had issues with customer service. They really couldn't keep up with the technology, and they got a long history from the 70s dominating the market and having players like Bjorn Borg win Grand Slams with their wooden rackets, but they just never made the transition into carbon fiber. Um, but there's another player, I'm forgetting his name, I'll think of it. He's a big shot commentator now, hell of a player. I'm forgetting, which I should have wrote it down, but it'll come up. So, reading the website, and they really go into injuries and that there's an epidemic. Actually, they have a article here, arm injury epidemic, and they go into all these pro players and listing their injuries and stuff. And yeah, tennis elbow and injuries could be from technique, and that's where it gets blamed on a lot. But these players, at least 90% of them, have the quote-unquote perfect technique, and yet they're still getting injured. And maybe the racket technology is to blame, like they say. So why do they blame racket technology? Well, they're trying to make the case that most rackets that are produced are hollow. So they're air injected into the mold, which means that the mold is hollow, the frame is hollow. And this creates a higher frequency of vibration. And they also have a medical study here, a shock injury medical study, which tennis elbow is not just for tennis, it's through a lot of occupations. If you're running tools and heavy equipment and repetitive motions, you could be suffering the same way tennis players suffer. So let's take it this racket shock study. So multi-core rackets versus air molded rackets. Air molded rackets transmit over 43,000 pounds of force per match on the arm. Solid core multi-core rackets transmits less than 1,400 pounds of force. So basically, it's less wear and tear on the arm for the same time on the court. So brand 1, 2, 3, they're not calling out brands, but we probably know which brands they are. And they're showing you the first hit, boom, you get that big spike, and then it's like ringing a bell, you get the aftershock vibration going through. So the tighter lines, the higher the peaks, the more aftershocks, the more force. They say this one had 12 cycles, this one has 15, brand 18 cycles, brand 4 16 cycles, so that's probably a little softer. So this is the solid multi-core, and if this data is in the ballpark, this is a huge difference. This kind of, I think they state that if you, so in a typical match of 180 balls hit, the results of which would be an average air molded racket would expel 192,000 newtons, which is 215 pounds force to your arm during a typical match, whereas a solid core racket would expel 61,400 newtons onto your arm during a match. So basically, the big number here, the big takeaway is 3 times lower. 3 times lower. That's huge. You turn that into, you play 3 hours, but the solid core racket is going to give you the shock and wear and tear on the arm of only 1 hour. I don't know. Do the math. I'm not a mathematician. But 3 times lower is a big deal, and I feel it in the arm. And I played with soft rackets, and usually arm-friendly rackets get their arm-friendliness from flexibility. Flexible racket is nice, but there's a little bit of a learning curve because you do feel the flex on the ball strike. So you have to kind of relearn. And I currently with the Prince Phantom, which is a flexible arm-friendly racket. It's got an RA of 58, which is still a little bit high, but it feels good with gut in the mains, and I've been using that. But maybe there's something better, and that's why I kept looking, and I found this. So their Allwood racket, the Donnay, has a RA flex rating of just 50, compared to the Clash, I guess the original Clash, with an RA 55, and that was really like the softest or the most flexiest racket on the market at the time. Now, I've had the Clash because I had a wrist injury, which I was trying to recover while playing. So I picked up the Clash, I played, and I give all credit to Clash. I was able to heal from my wrist injuries while staying on the court. The only problem with the Clash is I never really gelled with it. It was really unpredictable for me. One shot would be in the net, another shot would be in the back, hitting the back curtain. Very unpredictable. I really couldn't gel with it. I never knew what ball was going to come off the racket what time. It was disturbing, but at least I was playing and not beating up my arm, and I was healing while playing. So salute to the Clash. It helped me out. But the Donnay doesn't have a relearn problem. It plays like that bab a lot. It gives you spin. It's very predictable. It's an all court racket, all shot racket, because sometimes you get a racket you like, but you got to give up something. Sometimes you're giving up a little power on the serve. Sometimes you're giving up some punch in the volley. You're giving up touch for topspin, But the Donnay doesn't feel like I really have to give up anything. It just does everything well. It feels solid, doesn't get pushed around, but yet I could swing it around pretty good and get some good topspin. So I don't have too much video of hitting, but I do have a little bit. And I'll show you here. I'm still dealing with arm issues, so it's not the best video. The other player didn't want to be on camera, so I really can't show the whole court. But I'm able to hit my shots freely, and I'm still injured, and I'm on ibuprofen, and I'm not 100%, but I'm able to play, and I'm able to compete because I have to play certain matches for playoffs and stuff, so I can't really rest. I mean, I could, but I need to play these matches to get my team moving forward. And even with that, I'm still competitive, and I'm still winning matches. So that's why I'm really positive about this Donnay, and whatever drama they had with over the years. The website is not the prettiest website, but I don't care. I want a racket that works, that doesn't aggravate my arm. And I think I found it, and I want to do more videos on it. I just want to really talk about it, introduce this racket to the channel, and talk about what I'm trying to do to help with my tennis elbow. And I made this racket change. Also, my setup is gut in the mains, 50 pounds, and Selenko Vanquish multi, and crosses at 50 pounds. So that setup with this racket is what I'm rocking, and Donnay has an interesting demo program, which they'll send you 3 rackets anywhere in the U.S. So that's pretty cool because you're not going to find these in your local racket shop because they just don't have the capacity to have rackets out there for demo programs. And they used to sell on Tennis Warehouse, but Tennis Warehouse and them kind of parted ways. I think Tennis Warehouse was complaining about delivery issues or whatnot. You know, I don't care about that. I care about my arm. I care about getting a good racket. And I think Donnay should be, that's my opinion as it stands right now, I think Donnay should be considered if you're looking for a comfortable racket, which you should be. Because you may not be hurt now, but there's a lot of people that I know, and it's pretty much an epidemic in rec tennis, arm injuries. You know, you haven't seen players in a while, and they tell you, oh, I had a rest because I had tennis elbow. Oh, I got shoulder issue. I got wrist issue. I got this and that. And everybody says, oh, you could blame it on poly strings. Yeah, could be a factor. You could blame it on technique. Yeah, all those pros that got hurt got perfect technique. Why are they still getting hurt? A part of it is the racket. Let's open our eyes. Let's face the reality. You know, these big companies, they want to mass produce. You can't. You know, you're not going to return your racket because it's the one your favorite player uses. And when I tell people that their Babolat might be the cause of their pain, they look at me like I'm crazy because they just spent big money on it. And they say, how could it be? Rafa uses his racket. Rafa uses a racket that they paint for the new model, you know? That's kind of disingenuous, you know. If you're just an average player, you got no idea what they're doing, you know. A lot of players use the older racket or highly modified racket that you can't buy from the store, and then they give it the paint job of the new racket and sell them to the masses. You know, yeah, they get away with it. I don't know how. Truth in advertisement, I guess, don't matter. Or maybe they put it in the little fine print where nobody could see. But once you realize that, you gotta realize that marketing is not good for your arm. A well-built with racket with proven technology is good for your arm. It's, you know, Donnay can't afford to sponsor big players. Pro Connects also is another arm-friendly brand that's been around forever, but got maybe 1 or 2 players sponsored. They don't sell a ton of rackets to, you know, as much as Wilson and all these other big brand names. Babolat's number 1, and yeah. So I hope you like this video. I look forward to you coming by and seeing more tennis content with my Donnay. And hopefully I'm feeling better and get some more match play video on here. And like and subscribe. Thanks for sharing time with me. And chat at you later.